Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solution. Today we are going to discuss about the HCM extraction. So let's just start today's session and I'm going to give you the overview of the HCM extraction. So let's start with the extract component. But before that, let's talk about the HCM extract. So basically, extract is the process to retrieve a data. So the main way to retrieve data in a bulk form, Oracle HCM Cloud, is by using the HCM extraction. So a tool for generating data files and reports. And HCM extraction has a dedicated interface for specifying the records and attributes to be extracted with this tool. So you can identify records for extraction using complex selection criteria and define the data element in an HCM extract using the fast formula database item and rules. So you manage HCM extract either in the data exchange work area or using the checklist interface in the payroll work area. So alternatively, you can run extracts using the flow action service web service from the outside Oracle HCM Cloud. So this feature enables you to automate the outbound extract as part of an overall integration flow. So HCM extracts output has some format, like using the built-in integration with Oracle BI Publisher. You can generate extract in various format using the CSV, XML, Microsoft Excel, and HTML, RTF, and the PDF. And you can also download the raw hierarchical XML from a completed extract using the extract action service web service. So alternatively, you can download the formatted BI report, for example the CSV file, and using the BI schedule service. So in both cases, the output is streamed in a byte array. So therefore, any mechanism must have handled this output possible by the means of wrapper code. So you can also generate an HCM extract without specifying an output format at the design stage. Later, you can generate a BI report based on the extract using either the Oracle BI Publisher or the BI Service report. So this technique uses a dedicated BI data model that interfaces with the generated HCM extract XML. So let's now talk about the extract component. So the HCM extract feature is a flexible tool for generating data files and reports. So this topic covers how you can use the extract component to define what information you want the application to extract and report on. So it also explains how the application displays, formats, and delivers the information. So first we have the extract definition component. So an extract definition refers to the complete setup of an extract that consists of extract data groups, criteria, records, attributes, advanced condition, and output delivery options. So an extract definition consists of one or so an extract definition consists of one or more extract data group. Depending on how many logical entities you want to extract, one or more extract records depending on how many group of information you want to collect. And it's also consists of one or more attributes depending on how many individual fields of data you want to collect. So you use HCM extracts to extract, archive and transform, report and deliver high volume of HCM data from the Oracle Fusion HCM database. So you can generate the output in the format like CSV, XML, Excel, HTML, RTF and PATF. So you can distribute the extracted information by email, fax and other delivery modes. Some common example of extracts are PDF, payslip delivered to employee mailboxes, payroll or benefit data transferred to a third-party service provider, and HR and talent data exchange between the Oracle Fusion and legacy application, for example, in a coexisting scenarios. Then we have the data group. So extract data group represent a business area or logical entities, for example, person, assignment, or the benefit. So the application uses this information to retrieve the database item group. So you define one data group as the primary or root data group, and this data group is the starting point of the data extraction. Extract data group connection captures the association details between the current data group and the parent data group. The data group connection from the hierarchical relationship among the data groups. So you can define a set of filtering condition the application must perform on an extract data group using the extract data group criteria. So you specify the criteria condition using an expression or the fast formula. And then next we have the extract record component. So extract record represent a grouping of related data or a physical collection of data or fields required in the extract. So for example, the employee data group can have records such as basic detail, pay detail, location detail, and primary contact. So an extract record is a collection of attributes which you can organize in a required sequence. For example, if a data group has 3 records, then you can specify a sequence in which the application processes the records. So you can also select the next data group to identify which data group the application processes next. Then we have the attribute component. So attributes are the individual fields inside the extract record, and attribute is the lowest attribute level of HCM extract and represent a piece of information, for example, person first name, person last name, or person date of birth. So extract definition, like you have department data group, and under that you have department information record and department other information record. And under the record you have attributes like department ID and department name under the department information record. And in the department other information record you have department location attributes and department start date attribute. So that's how the extract definition hierarchy we can create. Then we have the threading database item. So threading database item is a unique identifier for a given user entity to uniquely identify an extracted record. Configuring the threading database item makes the comparison and identification of changes in changes only extract runs more efficient. So you can define one database item at the root data group or at any child data group level. Then we have the conditional action component. So a conditional action identify the action to perform and optionally print a message based on the outcome of conditional expression or a predefined fast formula. So conditional action are applied on the extracted data similar to criteria condition that are applied prior to extraction. So action and messages are predefined in the lookups, and you can add your own message by creating new values of the lookups. So when a condition is satisfied, you can use this feature to perform certain predefined action. For example, you can exclude employees that satisfy a condition such as all employee from a predefined country. You can also configure this feature to raise a warning when an employee salary is blank or beyond a specific level. So we strongly recommended user to avoid using conditional action which can adversely impact the runtime performance of an extraction run. Then at last we have the exclusion rules. So you can exclude or override a record that doesn't suit your requirement with your own record by using an exclusion rules. So the extract process does not process excluded records based on the legislative data group. And also Oracle strongly recommended that not using exclusion rules, as these are extremely difficult to troubleshoot when records get excluded. Alternatively, use BI publisher templates to handle the processing of conditional action and the exclusion rules. Now let's move to the another topic of the HCM extraction, which is the extract types. So the type of extract you select determines the purpose of the extract. It also determines the parameter that are automatically generated. For example, if you select the payroll interface extract type, then the application creates a changes only parameter as well as other parameter. So you can select the extract type on the extract definition page. So you have to go to my client group and then go to the show more option. Here you can search for the data exchange. Then you have the extract definition task here. Click on this task. And for type you have to just click on this plus icon and then click on the create new. Here you can see the types of the extract definition. Okay, let's talk about these types. So you can see here you have full profile extract type. So what is the purpose of the full profile? So it's used for complete employee and the payroll data archives, and then we have the payroll interface. So its purpose is used for providing data to third party payroll service provider. Then we have the payment. So its purpose is like it is going to be used for salary payment method, and for example like paid through check or bank transfer. Then we have the benefit. So it is going to be used for providing data to third party benefit service provider. Then we have the archive retrieval. So it is going to use for reports based on the permanently archived data, for example like payslip. Okay, so this is the purpose of this. Then we have the EOY archive. So its purpose is it's going to be used for end year of archive like HR or the benefit. Then we have the HR archive. So its purpose is for all HR archives data. And then we have the payroll archive. So it is going to be used for all payroll or the payslip archives. And at last we have the other payroll archive. So it's the use for all payroll archives. So these are the extract types you have to select while you are creating your extraction in the Oracle HCM. So you have to select these type first. So according this type, the template is going to be generated. So basically when you select the types, you are going to define the purpose of the extraction, and according to that the parameter are going to be automatically generated. Now let's talk about the overview of global payroll interface extract, which we just talk about. So its payroll interface purpose is like it's providing data to the third party payroll service. So now we are going to talk about this. So it's use the global payroll interface report to extract payroll and the employee details such as the salary and the deduction details. So global payroll interface extracts and report only employee information. Global payroll interface reports historical records for salary, element entries, and bank account on a personal payment method. So these records are all effective dated records that are effective within the specified extraction window. For all other data, Global Payroll Interface reports the top of the stack record that's effective within the specific extraction window. So you can use business intelligence publisher templates to send the extracted data to the payroll provider and copy this extract definition to generate a custom flow with the same name as the extract. So you can add custom fields to the extract definition. The extracted data includes global and the country specific data. So depending upon the LDG, the application copies country specific data. For example, when you copy a GPI extract definition within an Australian LDG context, global and Australia specific data is copied to the new extract. So for the countries that supports a calculation card, if you copy the delivered GPI v2 into the country's LDG, you get both global and data including the calculation card. So if the country doesn't support a calculation card, only global data is extracted with the country specific name, address and bank account formats and so on. So payroll interface use the HCM extract infrastructure. All delivery option available within the HCM extract are available for global payroll interface. For example, the output file can either be sent across through the SFTP or using HCM Connect over to the specified destination. So before you begin, you have to set up certain elements including the license type for country and territory while you configuring the global payroll interface. So for that you have to use the features by country or the territory. So let's just go to the home page again. Okay, so application is very slow. We'll back here. So then I'll show you the task, the features by country or the territory. So according to you have to select your extension there. Okay, now let's talk about the geographies and the legislative data group. So in the setup and maintenance work area, use the load geography for US task in the enterprise profile functional area to load the geography and create the geography structure for the each country. So ensure that you have selected the data source of either the GVG provider or the US owned provider. So in the setup and maintenance work area, use the manage legislative data group task in the workforce structure functional area to define the legislative data group to identify the country and its currency, because every country have their own legislative data group and they have only one legislative data group. So define at least one legislative data group for each country and associated it with a PSU, the payroll statutory unit, to provide the payroll information for the worker. And you can define your legal entity as a PSU, payroll statutory unit, and you can create the different payroll statutory unit to pay your employees. Okay, so our application is slow today, so we're going to see tomorrow these tasks where you can create your country selection for extension and the LDG and the geography. And now let's talk about the legal employer. So legal employer is a legal entity that employs workers. So define the legal entity type depending on the organization structure as one legal entity that's also a payroll statutory unit and a legal employer, and multiple legal entities which are children of one payroll statutory unit. So you can define in both ways. Then we have the payment method. So Oracle provide us different kinds of payment method like personal payment method, organizational payment method, third party payment method. But here you have to use the organization payment method task in your my client group to create at least one payment method for each combination of legislative data group, payment type and currency. So you can also create rules to validate or process the distribution of payments. So when creating a payment method, select the payment type as a EFT, electronic fund transfer. And if we are going to talk about the user entity details, so when creating an extract definition, you need user entity details to create data group. So you can search and view the user entity details by navigating to the search page of the view user entity detail task from the data exchange work area. You can also access the user entity detail UI when you create a data group in the design tab of the extract definition task. So let's try to log in one more time. Okay, so application is not working today, so I am just going to tell you the navigation, and tomorrow we will see the navigation in the instance. So you have to go to the my client group and the data exchange, then you have to go to the view user entity detail task, and on the user entity detail page you have to enter the keyword or the user entity name that is associated with the attributes, and then you have to search your user entity there. So in the search result section, then you have to click the user entity name which is yours, and then you can see certain things like using the user entity detail page. You can review the type of user entity, for example the single row, the multiple row, the historic or the effective dated. And also you can view the database item available in the user entity, and you can see the validate user entities for use with the root data group. You can view there the review the context used and the set by the user entity. You can review the SQL query the user entity uses, and then calculate the number of rows in a data set, and you can also verify the extract that are using the user entity. So you can see these sections there, and that can give you the detail and the information that you can derive from the user entity detail UI page. Then you can review the user entity detail. So in the search for user entity in the user entity detail UI, you have to go to the user entity detail tab. So if the value of valid for root data group is yes, then the user entity can be used as a root data group. And you can also determine if a user entity is valid for use as a root data group, and if the value of the multiple rows is yes and context required is no. For example, the person extract section person UE user entity can be used as a root data group as the value of multiple row is yes and context required is no. So if a user entity is not a multiple row user entity, you can must you must not use it as the root data group. If a multiple row user entity sets the context required for a single row user entity, the database item group from the single row user entity are generally included as drive database item group to the multiple row user entity. For example, the person per person details user entity is not a multiple row user entity. If a user entity is historic, it retrieves data irrespective of the effective date. For example, the person extraction assignment basic history, and these are the user entity we are going to see after some time. So if you want to retrieve your historic details of an assignment, you can use the basic history user entity. And if the user entity is not a historic, it retrieves data as of the effective date. For example, the per extraction pay employees user entity retrieves person assignment and payroll details as of the effective date. And after that, you can also review the SQL queries. So in the user entity detail UI, search for a user entity and click the query tab. So this tab lists the SQL query that the user entity used to extract data. You can review the table structure and alias, which is useful for creating advanced filter criteria. So if the user entity is valid as a root data group, you can calculate the rows that the SQL query will return. So however, the number of rows returned in an estimate and might not match the exact number of rows the extract will return. The actual extract output depends on the filter criteria, expression and fast formula used in the extract. And you can also review the user entity context. So in the user entity detail UI, search for a user entity and click the context tab. The context required section lists the context that you have to set to use the user entity in the extract. For example, per person phones user entity requires the person ID context. Therefore, you must set the person ID context to use the user entity. Generally, the user entities that are not historic required the effective date context. So however, the effective date context is set by default, so you don't have to set this context here. So the context set section lists the contexts that are set by the user entity. For example, the person extraction section person user entity sets the person ID, organization ID and the enterprise ID. Context that can be used by the other user entity also. Then at last you have to verify extract using the user entity. In the user entity detail UI, search for a user entity and click the extract using user entity tab. So if another extract is using the user entity, you can review the extract design to understand how the user entity is being used. You can also copy the extract design and then modify it to suit your needs. So now if we move ahead and we are going to talk about the user entities. So user entities are logical entities associated with the data group defined using HCM extract. So this topic describe the frequently used user entity and the type of data you can extract by using those user entity. So you select user entity in the application when you define a data group. So here you can see the 9 user entity with their codes. So let's see the first user entity, the person. So you can see the name of the user entity is person and you can see also the code. Okay, so we just talk about this person extraction section person UE. So it's a retrieve all persons across the enterprise and all person related attributes. And if we talk about the second one, the employees user entity, so it returns person, assignment and payroll details as on the effective date. And if we talk about the extract assignment basic history, so it retrieves an assignment history as on the assignment effective start date. And next, if we talk about the extract assignment basic information, so it retrieves assignment data as on the effective date. So you can see here there is a extract assignment basic history and extract assignment basic information. So history is going to retrieve assignment history as on the assignment effective start date, and the assignment basic information is going to retrieve assignment data as on the effective date. Then we have the assignment range. So it retrieves the assignment history as on the effective date. And then we have the extract current and future person. So it retrieves current and future person detail, specify advanced filter criteria, restrict the person type. Okay, and then we have the extract current and future assignment. So it retrieves current and the future assignment. So here also you have extract current and future persons and extract current and future assignment. So if you want to retrieve the assignment if you want to retrieve the current and future person detail, and so you can use extract current and future persons user entity, and if you want to retrieve current and future assignment, so you can use the extract current and future assignment user entity. Okay, then we have the reset context. So if you use the reset context user entity, so you have to use in a two ways. So it reset the effective date context set dynamically by a parent data group using a runtime input parameter for the effective date. For example, the extract assignment basic history user entity set the assignment effective start date as effective date and then first and then retrieve the data, unlike the user entity which use the effective date only. So if you want to use the extract assignment basic user entity to include the historical data but also want to change the effective date, then include the reset context user entity to reset this date using the input parameter. And the second way is to set up the reset context user entity as the root user entity to be a container or a header. For example, the following work structure like elements, location, position, legal employer are not related to each other. If you want to extract all of them in one single extract, then you can add them as a child element to reset context user entity used as the root in the extract definition. So adding this user entity as a root to these elements enables you to retrieve this data separately because the elements are not links to a hierarchy. Then we have the assignment standard working hour. So if the function per extract utility get a standard working hours, select the standard working hours for a position attached to the assignment or for the organization or to the legal entity in that order. So you can use the assignment standard working hours to fetch the standard working hours. So you can view these things in the application when we are going to use the user entity in our extraction. But right now the application is not working perfectly. So we are going to talk about some other information. Here you can see the templates. So now we are going to talk about the templates. So you can use the predefined templates to quickly set up extract. So we have different extract type with the template, like for the payroll interface extract type you have global payroll interface template, and for other payroll archive extract type you have calculation card report template. So these templates enables you to define your extract by choosing from a comprehensive list of data elements. So selecting the list of object you need for your integration will automatically build the extract definition. So you can choose the list of attributes and select the predefined filter criteria for various data element. For example, when you select address data element, you can choose the filter criteria to only select work address based on the address type that you have defined in your implementation. So after you select the data element and the filter criteria, your extract definition is complete. You can move to the final step of the defining the delivery option to complete the design process. The extract defined using a template as the source is like any other extract that you define. You can add data group and data element to this newly defined extract to include additional attributes according to your requirement. So we have predefined extract. So HCM Cloud has additional sample extract that are predefined, unlike the templates where you can select a subset of data elements. You cannot edit the predefined extract. You can make a copy of the predefined extract and work on the copy to update the extract to your requirement. The work structure and the workers extract are the example of predefined extract. The work structure extract generates detail of business unit, legal entity, department, grades, job, location and position, while the worker extract generate details of a person name, phones, emails, national identifiers, address, legislative data group, accruals, absence, work relation, work term, assignment, work measures, supervisor and the salary. So you must not run the predefined extract directly. Make a copy to run these extract. When copying and using these predefined extract, verify some extracting data according to your requirement, like define filter criteria. For example, if you want to extract data related to a specific location, include an expression or the fast formula in the data group filter condition, and also remove data group that are not required for your integration requirement. For example, you might choose to remove position data group from your extract that you copied, and you can review the details to ensure the data group records and attributes that you have included meet your expectation or the requirement. and also generate and compile the fast formula that you have used and validate the extract design, and then redefine the parameter to define the default values if there is any. And so for using work structure and worker extract template, what you have to do, you have to use the worker or work structure extract template. So first you have to copy the worker or work structure extract definition to create a new extract. Then you have to update the copy extract, then generate and compile the fast formula, and then validate the extract design, and then redefine your parameter. So this is all about for today's session. We just get the overview of the HCM extraction. So tomorrow we will see the define extraction. So thank you so much for watching today's session.